Fernando Mendoza to the Las Vegas Raiders. He's about 22 years of age with 35 starts. 3 biggest games of the year, 9 touchdowns, no picks, and 75% completion percentage. Is he a cross between Peyton Manning and Matt Ryan? He could be. And for the Raiders, just help him out. They brought in Tyler Linderbaum to anchor that line. You got Colton Miller. You got Jackson Powers-Johnson. Hopefully Ginty emerges at running back in year 2, getting some help from that O-line. You got Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. You go to David Bailey. He's the proven edge rusher for a Jets team. Frankly, he's got to win some football games for Aaron Glenn, right? Who's going to give you an opportunity to get after the quarterback right away? It's David Bailey. 11 of 14 games. He had a sack, 8 forced fumbles over the last 2 years. He was a good player at Stanford. He became a great player at Texas Tech this year. Now, could be Arvell Reese. You want Arvell Reese, who's got that multi-dimensional talent to be off ball and edge. Edge, though, is a projection. It's a leap of faith on talent that he could become a double-digit sack guy once he learns how to rush the passer. Fallback plan would be, hey, off ball, you can maybe be a Pro Bowler there. So if you want that versatility, it would be Arvell Reese. Have him going to Arizona at pick number 3. Then it gets really interesting. Where is the best player or second best player on everybody's board? Jeremiah Love, great running back who can also be a great receiver, come off the board. I'd have him at Tennessee because of Cam Ward. Cam Ward showed late this year and midseason on he could be an elite quarterback. Get him some help. Love can be that great game-breaking running back. You can get him the ball in the passing game. He can do damage there. Never fumbled the football at Notre Dame, so reliability, dependability is there, and he's a weapon. And we've said all along, when you have weapons like Jeremiah Love, who has that ability to be a great receiver as well, that's why it's not too high for a running back. Because like I say, Jeremiah Love is much more than that.
That's right. Don't put him in that running back box because he can do a lot. So, Boog, do you like or do you love Love to the Titans?
I love Jeremiah Love to the Titans. I love Jeremiah Love anywhere. Like, when you have an opportunity, you know, we talk about all the different things in the draft. Let's talk about value. If you can get the best player in the draft at number 4, that's a check the box for the Tennessee Titans. If you can get somebody that's going to help Cam Ward be a more efficient quarterback, you check that box for the Titans. And then the hardest thing, I think, to do in the National Football League, because there are very few guys that can go 90 yards. He can take it 90 yards and is a threat to score from anywhere on the field. To me, it's a home run pick for the Titans. It would be a home run pick for anybody, Hannah. I think you'd be lucky to get Jeremiah Love if you're anybody in this draft.
Yeah, a lot of options, though, Boog, with the Tennessee Titans. They look at Sonny Styles to put him next to Cedric Gray as that off-ball linebacker who brings back memories of watch Fred Warner. Who's the comp? It's Fred Warner. You know, you got Robert Saleh there. Does he go defense? Does he take an offensive lineman? I know you're talking about Mike Tannenbaum. We talked about C.C. Maui Noah there. Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, 2 outstanding receivers are there. But I do believe when you factor in how good he is as a receiver, I said all along, he wore number 4. He could have worn number 84 and been a receiver, wide receiver, and been a high pick in round 1. He's got kind of that Reggie Bush versatility. You talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. You talk about Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey. If we said to the Titans you could have one of those 3 guys, would they be pretty happy getting one of those 3 guys, Boog? Sure they would. So Jeremiah Love, we're hoping based on grade and based on what we saw at Notre Dame, he can be exactly like those 3 players I just mentioned.
Yeah, and he can block too. So, you know, just throw that in. And look, they have a new stadium coming in 2027. You want to sell some tickets? Hey, this guy is absolute box office. Okay, everybody loves Love, including Giants GM Joe Shane. He was asked about the explosive playmaker yesterday. Here's what he said.
Yeah, he's an offensive weapon. I mean, he's not just a running back. Like, he can play on third down. You can split him out. He can catch the ball. So certainly an offensive weapon. We like our running back room now. You know, Scat had a really good rookie year. Tyrone Tracy's been a 1,000-yard all-purpose guy the last 2 years. Devin's back. You know, Turbo, Eric Gray coming off the injury. So, you know, we'll see what happens on draft night. But like the room the way it's constructed right now.
So listen, if Love is off the board, Giants pick 5, obviously. Mel has them taking Ohio State safety Caleb Downs. Mel, why is he the right top 5 fit for the G-men?
Well, they got a new head coach named John Harbaugh who knew how to utilize Caleb Downs because he knew how to utilize Kyle Hamilton. He stole with the 14th pick with the Baltimore Ravens. So when you have a Kyle Hamilton emerge to be one of the best defensive players in the league, forget safety, one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL, and you know that Caleb Downs, hey, he's not as big and as physically imposing as Kyle Hamilton, but he is instinctive, a tremendous football IQ. He's all over the field making plays. So for John Harbaugh, this pick makes perfect sense because of what he had with Kyle Hamilton. Hamilton. And it's the fifth spot overall. It's not too high for Caleb Downs. As I said, I think you could make an argument. He's one of the top 3 or 4 best players in this draft. That's what you want at 5. You want to reach for the 7th, 8th, 10th best player. Get a guy inside of 5, and Caleb Downs is that guy, and certainly will help that defense and bring a culture change. This guy knows nothing but winning. Goes right to Alabama, then he goes to Ohio State. Nick Saban says he's the smartest player he ever coached. That speaks volumes of what football IQ and the bloodlines with his dad, his brother. It's all football with Caleb.
Yeah, and Saban just had him for that freshman year. All right, Lewis, how do you like this one?
Mel knows that I love safeties. Mel knows I love to draft safeties high. Mel also knows that I love safeties who are kind of a little bit more of difference makers. Look, Caleb Downs is going to be a great player. He's going to be a great player. But if I'm looking at Mel's mock and I'm sitting there and I'm going, Sonny Styles is still on the board and Caleb Downs is still on the board. Look, I think Sonny Styles is a guy who could potentially be a perennial all-pro. A guy who's a gold jacket type of dude simply because of not just what he has going for him from a physical skills perspective, but the kind of mental stamina, the kind of football instincts, the kind of leadership, the kind of level up ability that he has in terms of like affecting everyone around him. He's a guy who I just think has superstar written all over him because he's just scratching the surface of his potential. I know we have gone ahead and we have kind of like used a comp as, being Fred Warner. How about a comp of Brian Urlacher? How about a guy who was a safety who kind of just moves closer down to the line of scrimmage becomes a guy who's at the command and control center, and next thing you know, he's in Canton. That's the kind of guy that I think Sonny Styles, I think that's the kind of career arc you could be looking at with this kid, because I tell you what, when you look at him, Anna, you sit there and go, did you star in the movie Avatar? Because you sure do look like one with how big and as long and athletic as you are. That's what he is.
Bug,
I think when you look at the way the
Bug?
Giants want to play, and you look at defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson, let's think about what the strength of the Giants are. They've built this defense from front to back. The defensive line is strong. I know they want to work out a contract with Sexy Dexy. I don't know if they're going to get that done either way. Then you go to the second level of their defense. And although I think Caleb Downs is an excellent player, you talk about his smartness, his ability to make up, his playmaking ability, his tackling. I do like building my defense closer to the line of scrimmage. And I would agree with Lewis there when it comes to Sonny Styles from a linebacker standpoint. You can blitz him. He can go sideline to sideline. The range that he can have in that defense, I would just like to get the guy a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, Mel. Nothing against the safety. Safeties are great, Lewis, but I think the guys that are closer to the line of scrimmage affect the game a little bit more.
Well, listen, you brought it up, Bug, Sexy Dexy, so I just want to work this in here because it looks like maybe there has been made a decision on Dexter Lawrence because sources are telling the NFL Network, this happened last night, that the Giants are exploring a trade for Dexter Lawrence, a 3-time Pro Bowler. So we'll see what happens here, in the next week or so. All right, moving on to Mel's first trade of the mock draft. It involves the Cowboys making a bold move to shore up that defense.